Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you're watching from today. I'd love to know. And if you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, let's jump in. This meeting didn't feel like a normal meeting. The giant chamber was quiet, but not peaceful. The air was heavy, almost like it didn't want to be breathed. Ambassador Reina Chen sat alone at her table. Alone, because she was the only human in the room. All around her, tall beings with glowing eyes, fur-covered faces, long necks, or shiny metal skin stared at the main platform in the center. There were 38 different alien species in the council. They all believed they were the smartest in the galaxy. The speaker today was Counselor Veron of the Solari, a tall creature with glassy skin and fingers that looked like long knives. He looked calm, too calm. Humans, he said, his voice soft but clear, are a puzzle. They learn fast, they adapt faster, but most importantly, they do not think the way we do. He paused, letting the words sit in the room like a growing shadow. They are unpredictable. Reina kept her hands on the table, but inside, her heart beat like a war drum. She wanted to interrupt, to shout, to remind them that humans had only just joined galactic contact 6 months ago. How could the Council already be talking about them like they were a threat? But protocol was strict. No one spoke unless invited. We are playing chess, Veron continued, and they are not. A ripple of laughter passed through the chamber, but it was nervous laughter. While we plan 10 moves ahead, they flip the board. They rewrite the rules. They play games we don't even see. Veron turned toward the council. If we let them grow freely, their minds will someday outmatch our systems. Their chaos is not weakness, it is danger. He raised a long hand. I propose we move now, before they surprise us again. Before they play a game we cannot win. Reina sat still, but a chill ran down her spine. She understood the meaning behind Veron's words. This wasn't just about safety. This was control. The Council wasn't afraid because humans were violent. They were afraid because humans were different, and different scared them. Reina didn't need a translator to feel what was coming. She had seen it happen to other worlds, planets marked as unstable or underdeveloped, stripped of their freedom under the name of safety. The Council had a word for it, strategic containment. But everyone in the galaxy knew what that really meant. Control, silence, obedience. Veron stepped aside, and another counselor, a pale, feather-covered being from the Tsili, stood and spoke in a sharp, clicking tone. Let us not wait for disaster. Let us vote. For guidance. For order. Reina's fingers clenched under the table. Guidance. That word again. The Council always used soft words to hide sharp actions. If they passed this vote, Earth would be placed under Class Omega observation. A label that sounded neutral, but wasn't. Under that status, humanity would lose the right to build advanced technology. Every satellite, ship, or lab would be watched. Any progress would need permission. Any rebellion would be crushed. Worse, Earth's data systems would be opened to Council security monitors. Entire cities could be shut down with a single command from orbit. The planet wouldn't be burned or bombed, just quietly, completely owned. And once that happened, humans wouldn't even realize they'd lost. Not at first. Life would go on. But slowly, things would change. Innovation would stop. Curiosity would be punished. Children would grow up believing that they needed permission to think big. That was the real danger. Not just slavery of the body, but slavery of the mind. And the worst part? The vote was already starting. The chamber darkened slightly as the voting interface activated. One by one, the council members touched the glowing pads in front of them, casting their decisions in silence. Each vote appeared on the giant screen above the central podium. Raina stared as the green lights, in favor of containment, began to outnumber the red ones. Her chest tightened with each flash. She looked around, hoping someone, anyone, would object. But most of the delegates stared forward with calm, blank faces. A few shifted uncomfortably. One Arcturan raised a hand briefly, as if to speak, but lowered it when no one joined him. Raina's mind raced. Earth's leaders had trusted the council. They had agreed to talks, to treaties, to openness. They had believed this alliance meant friendship. But now she saw the truth. The council never wanted equals. They wanted pieces on a board, predictable, quiet, easy to move. Varen watched the final votes come in with a slight smile. 31 in favor, the moderator announced, her voice like an echo through metal. 7 opposed. The proposal passes. Earth will be placed under strategic containment, effective immediately. Raina stood. She knew she wasn't supposed to speak, but she didn't care. "You're making a mistake," she said, her voice calm but loud enough to carry. "Humans don't fit inside your boxes. You think you've planned for every move. But Earth doesn't play by your rules." Gasps echoed around her. A few delegates looked shocked. One even whispered, "She spoke out of turn." But Raina didn't stop. "You're playing chess," she said. "But we're not. We never were." She turned and walked out, guards already moving to follow her. Behind her, the chamber buzzed with confusion. Some were angry. Others were intrigued. But Veron? Veron just watched her go, his smile slowly fading. He had played his move. He didn't know. He couldn't know what humanity's next one would be. Back on Earth, things started to feel off. Dr. Lena Torres, lead analyst at the International Space Watch program, squinted at her monitor. The numbers didn't make sense. A strange energy signal had entered Earth's orbit 3 hours ago. Quiet, smooth, and not like anything from human satellites. It wasn't sending messages. It wasn't scanning. It was just watching. "Hey," she called to her assistant. "Did we authorize any new orbital probes today?" "No," he replied, already checking the system logs. "Everything's quiet on our end. But this..." He paused. "This thing's not ours, is it?" Lena didn't answer. She was already picking up a second signal, then a third, all from different directions. In a coastal village in South Africa, a boy playing soccer with his friends kicked the ball into the bushes. He went to retrieve it and vanished. In a small town in Japan, 3 fishermen on the docks stopped mid-conversation. They all looked up at the same time. No one saw what they saw, but all 3 dropped their fishing poles and began to walk toward the hills. They were never seen again. In New Mexico, a long-haul truck driver slammed on his brakes. A bright light had appeared in the road ahead. His radio stopped working. His dash camera blinked out. He got out of the truck to check and didn't come back. Whispers spread. People talked online. Then the posts were deleted. Entire message threads vanished. By the time the news reached Dr. Lena's office, she had already run the patterns 5 times. They're not scouting, she told her team. They're sampling, measuring units, picking people from different regions, different ages. It's like they're testing something. Her phone buzzed, a secure call from someone in military intelligence. She answered quickly. We've lost contact with Ambassador Raina Chen. The voice on the other end said, last signal was from the council chamber. That was 2 days ago. Lena didn't speak. Her eyes went to the monitors, where the number of silent ships above Earth had just increased to 7. Something was coming. Something big. And it wasn't waiting for permission. The lab beneath Mount Elbert didn't officially exist. Buried deep under layers of stone and steel, it was shielded from satellites, scanners, and anything the Council might be using to watch the planet. Few people knew it was there. Fewer still were allowed to enter. Lieutenant Sarah Langley had clearance. She had earned it the hard way. As she walked through the reinforced doors into the cold, humming corridors, she passed a row of quiet rooms filled with machines that didn't look quite human. Some had sharp edges like claws. Others glowed with colors Earth's spectrum couldn't explain. All of it had been gathered from alien wreckage over the past 6 months. Most of it had been locked away. Until now. In the main operations bay, General Marcus Endauer stood with his arms crossed, eyes locked on a hologram of Earth's orbit. 7 ships hovered there, dark shapes with curved hulls and no visible engines. He didn't need anyone to tell him they weren't just observers. You're late, he said without looking. Langley saluted, then handed him a secure tablet. Confirmed abductions in 18 different countries, she reported. Age range wide. Male, female, civilian, military, even scientists. No ransom, no messages, just vanished. Endauer read silently, then set the tablet down. Any of them come back? 1, she said. A girl, 12 years old, found in Nevada, in the desert. No memory of where she'd been. But she had a mark on the back of her neck, just above the spine. He raised an eyebrow. What kind of mark? Langley didn't answer. She turned to a nearby technician. Bring in the subject. A moment later, the girl entered, small, pale, blinking under the harsh lab lights. She moved like she was still half asleep. Her mother walked with her, holding her hand, eyes filled with both fear and relief. Dr. Keon Ward, a neuroscientist with clearance so high he technically didn't exist, stepped forward. He gently guided the girl to a padded chair and rolled up the back of her shirt collar. The lab fell silent. There, just below her hairline, was a disc. Smooth, metal, no seams, no visible power source. This was inside her, Ward said, connected to her nervous system. Endauer leaned closer. You remove it? Ward nodded. Barely. It had fused with her spine. Bioadaptive. Council tech. Maybe Voraxian. But there's something odd. Their mind control devices rely on syncing with predictable brainwaves. The kind most species have. He tapped a screen beside him, showing a wild, looping pattern of electric signals. But humans? We're all noise, emotion, instinct, chaos. This tech can't keep up with that. It tries, but it burns out. Langley stepped in. We think that's why they're taking people. They're testing, trying to figure out how to break us before they move in for good. Dower nodded slowly. So what's our move? Ward turned toward a thick glass window on the other side of the room. Behind it sat a large black object, half ship, half sculpture, alien, intimidating. It looked like a predator crouching in the dark. "The Varaxian scout vessel we shot down last month," Ward said. "We've powered it, mapped its systems, and traced its data trails. We know what it's made of, how it moves, even how it hides. And? And we're going to use it." The general turned to Langley. "Team?" "Already chosen," she said. "Blackout team. No digital presence, no public records, fully off-grid. They'll wear our faces but move like ghosts. If the council's watching, they won't see this coming." "Objective?" "Board another scout ship, quietly. Capture crew alive if possible. We need to know how far the council's plan goes, and we need leverage, something the galaxy can't ignore." Endower stared at the orbital map again. "So we start our own game," he said quietly. "We stop reacting and begin playing." The Arctic wind howled across the white plain, untouched and uncaring. Snow whipped across the ice, blinding and endless. No one sane would come here. That's why it was perfect. Lieutenant Arya Kessler knelt beside a mound of snow, her white camo suit blending with the frost. Through her thermal scope, she spotted it, a small shimmer in the air, like heat rising from frozen ground. "Target confirmed," she whispered into her mic. "Alien scout ship. Cloak active, but weak. Movement inside." "EMP ready," said Sergeant Cho behind her. "Just say the word." Kessler waited. Let the wind die down. Let the team get into position. Then, now. The pulse fired silently, just a flicker of power in the freezing air. The shimmer blinked. Then the ship appeared, clear as day, sleek, dark metal, shaped like a tear. It stuttered in midair, dropped 10 feet, and landed with a heavy crunch. "Move!" Kessler ordered. The team advanced in perfect formation, rifles up, disruptor packs humming. A side hatch burst open, and a tall alien stumbled out, blinking in confusion. He raised a device, too slow. A dart hit him in the neck, and he dropped. Inside, another alien screamed something in a language no translator could catch. Flashbangs filled the air. The team rushed in. Within 4 minutes, it was over. 2 aliens captured. 1 scout ship seized. Not a single human injured. Back in the mountain lab, Dr. Ward leaned over the ship's control panel. Her fingers traced the symbols. None matched Earth's languages, but some patterns repeated, forming a structure. "This ship wasn't built by the Varaxians," she said. "The systems, they don't fit their body shape. The tech is older. Modified." Langley glanced at her. "So they stole it?" Ward nodded. "Like they stole the planets they control, the people they use." She turned toward one of the aliens, now awake in the containment bay. Its 6 eyes blinked in a strange rhythm as it watched them. "I am Tresk," it said in broken English. "You make mistake. You attack Varaxian property." Ward leaned in. "Why is the Council afraid of humans?" Tresk made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You do not obey patterns. That is dangerous." Ward stared at him. "Then maybe it's time we use that." It started with a question. "If their machines fail when they try to control us," Dr. Lena Ward said, turning from the alien containment window, "what happens if we push back?" The room was quiet. Her words didn't sound angry. They didn't sound like a threat. But every scientist, engineer, and soldier in the lab felt the weight of them. Not what if we hide? Not what if we run? But what if we fight? Not like they expect, but like only we can? She tapped a display on the glass, where the alien named Tresk sat, calm, but closely watched. Their mind control tech fails because of us, because of our minds. What if we could amplify that? General Endower, standing at the back of the lab, narrowed his eyes. You mean use our chaos against them? Exactly, Ward said. Take what they fear and turn it into a weapon. It sounded crazy. It was crazy. But that was the beauty of it. 3 days later, in a different wing of the mountain facility, the prototype sat on a reinforced table. A strange metal helmet connected to a curved silver box covered in cables and cooling coils. The shape was a blend of human design and Varaxian engineering, scavenged circuits, Earth-made processors, and something blue and humming at the core. The same crystal they had recovered from the alien scout ship. This, Ward explained to the gathered team of physicists, neurologists, and defense strategists, is the human cognitive disruptor interface. We call it the pulse. She gestured to the sleek headset. It resembled a bike helmet from the outside, but the inside was lined with neural readers and microconductors. It doesn't just protect the brain from dampeners, she said. It captures our brain waves and amplifies them, specifically the irregular patterns, the emotional bursts, the unpredictability that the council tech can't process. She pointed to the monitor where a simulation was running. A wave of electrical signals pulsed outward from the helmet, striking a model of a Varaxian ship's systems. The results were instant. Weapon locks broke, shield systems faltered, communication relays fizzed out. If deployed at the right frequency, this device can disable any council tech connected to their neural sync network, she said. That includes their ships, weapons, even their surveillance units. Anything that relies on their orderly brainwave logic. General Endower crossed his arms. So what's the catch? We need a human brain to power it, Ward said. The more chaotic the mind, the stronger the output. Calm thoughts don't work. It feeds on noise, emotion, conflict, creativity. Sounds like half our population, one tech muttered. Endower's voice was steady. So we need someone who's seen war, felt fear, acted anyway. He turned to the back of the room. Lieutenant Arya Kessler stepped forward. Her eyes were sharp, her voice steady. I'll do it. Training began immediately. At first, it was simple tests, meditation disrupted by sudden bursts of noise, puzzles interrupted by emotional triggers. The headset learned quickly. Kessler's mind was perfect for it. Quick, unpredictable, but still grounded. Then came live testing. In the lower chamber, alien systems from the captured scout ship were wired and active. Kessler sat in a monitoring chair, helmet secured, heart rate high. Dr. Ward stood at the console. Ready? Kessler gave a thumbs up. Ward flipped the switch. The lights in the lab dimmed for a half second as the amplifier roared to life. A low hum filled the air. Then a pulse, invisible but powerful, rippled outward. The alien systems crackled. One screen blinked out. A second overloaded. Sparks shot from a containment cable. The crystal at the core of the ship flickered like a candle in a storm. Shut it down, Indar ordered. The room went dark for 2 full seconds before emergency lights kicked in. Ward rushed to Kessler's side. Arya! Kessler opened her eyes slowly. I saw everything. Their systems, their network. I don't know how, but I felt the ship. She looked up. It was scared. Silence. Then someone whispered, "She connected to it." Ward's voice was shaky, but thrilled. Then it works. Over the next week, production ramped up. Materials were limited, but engineers worked around the clock. Nations across the globe sent resources in secret. A facility in Norway created the crystal chambers. A lab in Argentina printed the microcircuit lattices. And in a bunker beneath Tokyo, a team of coders wrote the dynamic frequency software that made the helmet's pulse impossible to block. 30 units, then 50, then 100. They couldn't make one for every soldier, but they didn't need to. Because this wasn't about numbers. This was about changing the rules. While the helmets were being shipped undercover to hidden bases worldwide, Kessler and her team were preparing for the next phase. She stood in the command hub, staring at a 3D map of Earth's orbit and atmosphere. Dozens of alien scout ships now circled the globe. Some hovered above cities. Others patrolled remote areas. And then there were the 3 large ones, the Voraxian fleet ships. Dark, silent, deadly. "We think they're waiting," Endower said beside her. "Maybe for the dampeners to be improved. Maybe for full council approval. But if they realize what we're building—" "They'll attack," Kessler said. Ward joined them, tablet in hand. "That's why we don't wait. We strike first, and we do it before they even know we have weapons." She pointed to a series of red dots. "Our next move is to get one of our disruptor units inside one of the main ships. Their command centers are the hub for their whole network. If we hit them there, we don't just knock out a ship, we take out the grid." Kessler nodded slowly. "How do we get in?" "Disguise," Ward said. "We still have the scout ship we captured. We've reprogrammed its ID beacon to read as friendly. If we get close enough." Kessler looked at her team. Soldiers, pilots, engineers. Not just trained, but chosen. People who had fought back when others froze. People who didn't care about odds. "Suit up," she said. "We're not just fighting. We're about to start a war they never planned for." The hangar beneath Mount Elbert buzzed with activity, but no one raised their voice. It wasn't chaos. It was precision. Soldiers moved in sync, loading gear onto marked pallets. Engineers crawled across sleek black armor plating, checking every bolt, every weld. Technicians ran final diagnostics on disruptor helmets, each one packed with more power than a fighter jet's main gun. The air smelled of cold steel, burnt wiring, and urgency. In the center of the hangar sat the captured Voraxian scout ship, now repainted in a dull matte gray with false Voraxian symbols etched on its hull. A trick, a disguise. It looked like one of theirs. That was the point. Lieutenant Arya Kessler stood at the foot of the loading ramp, helmet tucked under her arm. She wore no medals, no symbols, just a thin black suit lined with cables, wires that connected her mind directly to the pulse system inside the ship. General Endower approached quietly. "We've confirmed the signal spoof is holding," he said. "Their satellites see this ship as one of theirs. If nothing changes, you'll reach their orbital command center without resistance." Kessler nodded. "And if something does change?" Then we find out if the Council's tech can survive when the chaos starts thinking back. Behind them, her squad filed in. Sergeant Cho, her second in command. Maya Trin, expert in alien systems. Dev Gupta, recon and ex-intel. And Nico Alvarez, pilot and a man who claimed he could fly anything with wings, or without. Ward entered just in time to hand Kessler a sealed metal case. "The data package," she said. "Everything we've recorded, Tresk's testimony, the council vote logs, evidence of the early abductions. If you get this into their network and broadcast it, every council member will see it." "It's not enough to fight," Kessler said. "We have to show them the truth." Ward nodded. "Exactly." Outside the mountain, storm clouds were rolling in. The wind howled, as if the earth itself knew what was coming. While Kessler's team prepared for launch, the rest of the world moved quietly, but urgently. In an underground control center beneath Geneva, maps flickered with red dots, alien ships, while green icons slowly blinked into existence across the globe. These were the disruptor teams, elite units from over 20 nations, each equipped with mobile disruptor arrays built from Ward's original design. Colonel Jiao of the Chinese Special Forces looked up from her screen. "Teams in position across all 6 continents. We've got coverage over every major alien ship we've tracked." In a mobile command unit in Arizona, a U.S. Air Force general adjusted his earpiece. "Our jets are armed with modified payloads. Missiles carry micro-disruptors, not enough to destroy, but enough to disable. In Nairobi, London, Seoul, Buenos Aires, and dozens of hidden sites, generals, ministers, and resistance leaders gave the same silent order. Wait, watch, hold, until the moment came." The scout ship lifted off under cover of night. It rose through low clouds, vanishing from sight within seconds, shielded by both stealth plating and the falsified Varaxian ID signature. Alvarez piloted with precision, keeping the ship's path aligned with orbital routes known to be friendly to the Council's patrol grid. Inside the cabin, Cho checked weapons. Trin synced the ship's systems with the onboard disruptor array. Dev Gupta reviewed the alien schematics for the command vessel. They knew what section to target, the comms tower. If they could plug the data package into its main relay, the broadcast would override the entire fleet's communication system. "We do this clean," Kessler said. "No killing unless it's survival. This mission is bigger than us. We're not just proving they're wrong. We're proving we don't need to be like them." They didn't cheer. They nodded. Focused. Ready. Above Earth, the Varaxian command ship hovered in orbit, unmoving, silent, and immense, like a shadow waiting to fall. Inside, General Dravex stood at a black glass console, 6 eyes locked onto scrolling reports. His fingers twitched across a curved control surface. The neural dampener trials were still failing. Even their latest test subjects, taken from high-stress zones in human cities, showed unpredictable resistance. "The humans' minds are defective," hissed his lead scientist. "They change thoughts too quickly. They react emotionally. The dampeners can't sync in time." "Then change the dampeners," Dravex growled. "We have. 5 times." Dravex stepped forward, towering over the scientist. "We promised the Council a pacified species, not another war. If we can't break their minds, then we break their will." He tapped a command. A hologram showed a list of cities. The ship's weapon arrays locked onto them one by one. The countdown began. But down on Earth, in the control center below Mount Elbert, Dr. Ward's hands were flying across her keyboard. She had been monitoring power levels from international satellites, and something caught her eye. She ran the data twice, then a third time. "General," she said, turning to Endower, "the Varaxian ships are shifting position. Their energy signatures are increasing. They're charging weapons." Endower didn't wait. He activated the command comms. "All strike teams, alert red. Launch disruptors on my mark. Repeat. Prepare to engage. This is not a drill." Alarms rang out across the globe. Soldiers climbed into exosuits. Drones whirred to life. In hidden hangars, fighters were rolled out, engines igniting with low, electric growls. In the sky above, the stars still blinked calmly. But below them, the world was getting ready to punch back. Inside the scout ship, Alvarez tapped the console. "We've reached range. Their command ship is right ahead. ID beacon still holding. We're cleared for docking." The massive Varaxian ship loomed larger with every second. It didn't react. No weapons powered up. No fighters launched. "We're in," Trin said. "Approach vector confirmed. Auto-docking in 20. Kessler stood and tightened the harness on her disruptor vest. She touched the small case secured to her belt, the data drive that could change the galaxy. "This is it," she said quietly. "No turning back." The team rose and readied themselves. As the docking clamps latched onto the alien hull, and the doors began to cycle open with a hiss, Earth's counterattack was seconds from beginning. The Council had played their move. Now it was humanity's turn. The airlock hissed open with a whisper that sounded too soft for what was about to happen. Inside, the alien command ship was colder than expected. The temperature kept low for Varaxian physiology. The walls were smooth and curved, dark metal pulsing faintly, with embedded veins of faint blue light. Like the ship itself was alive and dreaming. Lieutenant Arya Kessler stepped through first, disruptor system armed but hidden beneath her long, fabric-wrapped coat. Her team followed in practice silence. No alarm sounded. No guards greeted them. Their false ID beacon still held. "Keep helmets on," she whispered. "This ship could turn on us in seconds." Sergeant Cho scanned the corridor with his visor. "Life signs sparse. No patrols in this sector. Looks like we came in clean." "Good," said Dev Gupta, slipping forward to scan an alien keypad. "Then let's not waste the advantage." They moved quickly but carefully through the ship's belly, passing stacked crates of neural dampeners, coils of crystalline wiring, and what looked like incubation tanks for new tech, half organic and half machine. Trin stopped to scan one. "They're building dampeners tuned specifically for human neural rhythms," she said quietly. "They're adapting fast. We don't have long." Kessler nodded. "Then we finish this before they finish those." At the same time, across Earth, the first wave of resistance ignited. In San Francisco, a formation of stealth-modified F-35 jets screamed over the bay at subsonic speed. Each one carried a disruptor pod mounted beneath the fuselage, carefully wired into the pilot's helmet to release a burst of amplified brainwave interference on command. Captain Lionel Ross, call sign Ghost, keyed in the first strike. His HUD lit up with a lock-on warning. The target was a Varaxian scout ship hovering above the city, its cloaked silhouette flickering due to the disruptor field interference. "Disruptors live," Ross said. Go hot in 3, 2, 1. Mark. With a mental trigger, he fired. The disruptor surged, invisible to the human eye, but lethal to alien tech. The scout ship's cloak shattered like glass. Its shield bubble spasmed, then vanished. A moment later, Ross fired a missile that found its mark. The ship spun out of control, crashing into the ocean with a trail of flame. Target down, Ross radioed. Clean hit. From Seoul to Lagos to the frozen plains of Siberia, similar reports followed. Human pilots, aided by Ward's tech, took down alien ships that had once been untouchable. The Council had expected fear, surrender. Instead, Earth's skies lit up with streaks of light, shockwaves, and, most importantly, hope. Inside the command ship, the illusion of stealth began to crack. Halfway to the communications tower, Kessler's team encountered their first resistance. 2 Varaxian soldiers in glossy black armor, their six-eyed helmets glowing green. The aliens barked commands in their native tongue and raised their weapons. Non-lethal, Kessler shouted. Before the soldiers could fire, Cho triggered his disruptor vest. A shock wave rolled outward. The alien rifles sparked, then shut down. The soldiers staggered, trying to recalibrate, but Gupta was already moving. He slipped behind one, jamming a tranquilizer injector into the soft fold behind its neck. Trin fired a pulse dart at the other, dropping it in seconds. They dragged the bodies into a supply room and pressed on. Back on Earth, things were not all going according to plan. In New Delhi, a Varaxian ship had begun adapting. After being hit by 2 disruptor units, it recalibrated its shielding frequency. Its hull now glowed a dull red instead of blue, evidence that it had shifted into a protected state. The human ground team, crouched in a rooftop greenhouse, watched in silence as their next disruptor blast fizzled out without effect. They're adapting faster than expected, said Sergeant Molina. That gives us maybe minutes before the rest of their fleet learns the same trick. And he was right. Inside the Varaxian command ship, General Dravex slammed a clawed fist onto the console as reports streamed in from Earth. 17 ships down, he roared, from primitive weapons. His lieutenant shrank back. Not weapons, General. Signal-based interference. Human brainwave patterns amplified somehow. We think it's their minds. Those erratic, non-linear thoughts. They're projecting them as energy. Dravex paused. The silence in the command center was cold and long. Then it's worse than we thought, he said finally. They've found a way to weaponize what makes them dangerous. He turned to his comms officer. Lock onto their disruptor hubs. Every signal relay you can find. Begin atmospheric bombardment. Now. In the Wyoming Command Center, Dr. Ward's monitor went red. Multiple weapons charging, she said. We're detecting focused energy buildup across their orbital network. They're targeting our signal hubs. General Endower didn't hesitate. Evacuate secondary relay stations. Lock down core uplinks. Prepare counterburst if we go dark. Ward's hands flew across her keyboard. We've only got one shot at this. If our satellites fall, the global network collapses. Every disruptor goes dead. Then hold it together, Endower growled, because our people are already inside that ship. And inside that ship, Kessler's team had finally reached the comms tower. It wasn't what they expected. Instead of a control room, they found a tall spire lined with hundreds of glowing alien skull caps. like neural helmets suspended in stasis. Each one hummed with quiet pulses of energy. "This is how they link everything," Trin whispered. "Each cap connects to a command node. Their entire fleet syncs through here." Kessler pulled out the data drive. "Let's end this." She moved to the central console. Alien symbols danced across the surface. Trin stepped up beside her and tapped through a sequence they'd practiced for days. "Ready," she said. "Broadcast now." Kessler inserted the drive. For a split second, nothing happened. Then the entire room glowed white. Across the galaxy, every council terminal pinged. From the golden palaces of the Arcturans to the deep caverns of the Trelawney, council representatives stared in shock as the data played. Recordings of the Varaxians' illegal abductions, footage of Tresk's confession, proof that the council's vote was manipulated, video of human cities being targeted with no provocation. The lies were unraveling in real time. Back on the command ship, alarms screamed. Doors sealed. Red lights bathed the halls. "They know," Cho said. "The ship's locking down. We've got maybe 90 seconds before security reaches this room," Gupta added. Kessler didn't look away from the console. "We've done our part. Now we survive." Outside, the rest of the human team formed a defensive line. The corridor leading to the comms tower stretched out like a tunnel of death. And somewhere beyond that, Dravex was coming. His steps shook the floor. His rage lit the air like fire. And humanity had just flipped the board. The floor trembled as General Dravex approached. His armor clanked against the smooth alien floor, every step heavier than the last. Behind him marched 6 elite Varaxian guards, taller, faster, bred for suppression. Their weapons were primed, glowing with volatile energy that danced across the ceiling in long flickers. Inside the communications tower, Lieutenant Kessler stood with her team, pulse rifle raised, disruptor field humming around her like static caught in a storm. The upload was complete. The data had gone out. Earth's truth had reached the galaxy. But now the ship had sealed its doors. Escape was no longer an option. "Positions," she said calmly. Trin and Cho moved to cover. Gupta crouched behind a support beam, checking the charge on his pulse pistol. Alvarez tapped the final override key on the panel, locking their position inside the tower. Then the outer doors exploded inward. Dravex strode through the smoke like a monster from a forgotten age. His eyes locked onto Kessler, and for the first time, he didn't smile. "You broadcast lies," he growled, voice deep and full of venom. "We broadcast the truth," Kessler replied. "Your empire ends today." With a snarl, Dravex raised his cannon. It fired a beam of energy that tore through the air, melting part of the wall beside her. Kessler rolled, came up behind a control console, and fired back. Her disruptor pulse hit the guard beside Dravex, sending his armor into a wild, fizzing seizure. The alien dropped, convulsing. The battle exploded into chaos. Cho tackled another guard, driving his disruptor directly into the alien's chest plate. Trin hacked the local command node, forcing the floor lights to strobe and disorient the attackers. Gupta rolled a stun mine beneath the advancing squad, sending 2 more crashing to the ground in sparks. But Dravex kept coming. He fired again, grazing Alvarez across the leg. The pilot screamed but held his ground, crawling to get behind cover. Then Dravex turned his full attention on Kessler. "You don't understand what you've done," he hissed. "We were trying to help you, keep you from yourselves." "No," she said, rising. "You were afraid of us because we don't follow your rules." He charged. Kessler didn't run. Instead, she activated the disruptor field on her suit. It surged to full power, flooding the room with pure human chaos. Brainwaves amplified 100 times over. The alien tech inside the ship flickered. Panels sparked. Ceiling lights shattered. Dravex's armor whined in protest. He lunged. She dodged. She fired once. Twice. The first shot missed. The second struck the blue crystal embedded in his chest plate. It cracked, humming violently. Dravex looked down in confusion as his armor began to fail piece by piece. "You can't win," he said, staggering. "We already did," Kessler said. Dravex reached for his cannon one last time. But Gupta's shot took him cleanly through the throat. The Voraxian general dropped to his knees, eyes wide in disbelief, and collapsed with a final metallic thud. At the same moment, across Earth and beyond, everything changed. The Council's emergency session, already underway in the grand spire of Trelion Prime, erupted into motion as the final data streams confirmed what some had long suspected. The Voraxians had violated every law of the Council. The vote had been manipulated. Earth had never posed a threat. And now, humans had done what no other species had ever managed: resisted, survived, and exposed the Empire. The Arcturan ambassador stood. "I motion for Earth's immediate recognition as a sovereign world, and for all Varaxian forces to withdraw." "I second," said the Tzili. The vote passed, this time without fear. Earth was free. On board the command ship, emergency sirens began to fade. Kessler and her team stood together in silence, bodies bruised, breath ragged, but alive. They had survived the impossible. A soft chime came through their comms. "Lieutenant Kessler," said Dr. Ward's voice. "We just got the vote. It's over. They've ordered the fleet to stand down." Kessler closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them again. "Let's go home," she said. 6 months later, Earth had changed. Above Geneva, a massive new structure hovered in low orbit, the Unity Station, built by human hands and alien allies working side by side. It was not a warship. It was a hub for diplomacy, science, peacekeeping. The old council was gone. In its place, a new alliance had formed, founded on equal voice and shared history. Dr. Ward's disruptor technology, once a weapon, had become a tool of liberation. Across dozens of systems, it was used to disable neural dampeners and free enslaved populations. Captain Alvarez now trained starship pilots from 5 different species. Trin worked as a tech advisor, helping rebuild shattered worlds. Cho and Gupta joined the Galactic Peacekeeping Corps, where they helped dismantle what remained of the Varaxian war network. And Kessler? She was offered a seat on the new council. She declined. Instead, she returned to Earth, where she taught at a quiet academy, training the next generation, not to fight, but to think, to lead, to imagine, because the council had tried to play chess. But humanity had rewritten the game, and the galaxy would never be the same.